Right now, there's a child in a family who may run away to escape an abusive household, but has returned multiple times back to the family and now is occurring a juvenile record. Their story is not being heard.
I'm a former foster youth myself, and I did experience abuse both before and during foster care. But here in Ohio, the driving force behind this effort has come from youth. Ohio Youth started actively advocating for this office in 2018, but the complaints and concerns that they had date prior to that.
We found out that there had been a foster youth Bill of Rights that was actually in the Ohio Revised Code since the 1960s. However, none of us current or former foster youth knew of this Bill of Rights, and the reason for that is because none of the rights were enforceable.
I come from a unique perspective as someone who has worked behind the scenes in child welfare agencies, where I've seen caseworkers and social workers have a caseload of work to where they're not able to tend to the concern for the child who is experiencing something in the home.
They're saying, I need help, I'm being abused, and that child's being brought back to the abusive home. Caseworkers, law enforcement are believing the parents, and no one is really taking the child seriously.
When a young person runs away from an abusive situation, what is supposed to happen, according to federal law, is there's supposed to be an interview with that young person asking why they ran away. Our youth reported that this was not happening consistently, and that they would run away from abuse to try to escape, and then they would be placed back in that same abusive situation, and they said that there needed to be accountability, safeguards, some way to protect them.
The situation when you don't have an ombudsman is you don't have a place where you know you can go to where someone will take your concerns seriously and listen to you. A youth ombudsman is one who will take their concerns seriously and really do the work of making sure that they can get their complaints resolved.
It's important for me to have a youth ombudsman office because I understand firsthand the power of having someone in your corner. So many things I've faced in this life, even to this day, I do it by myself. That's a hard place to be. But when I was in care, I faced a situation where having an outside voice speak for me was very powerful for me.
In my personal experience, the event that led to my removal from my father's care was a more serious assault than normal. And on that day, I found myself with no one to call and no one to reach out to for help because I no longer trusted the current measures that were in place. So had there been a youth ombudsman, there would have been this alternative mechanism to report my concerns.
I feel that it was important for a youth ombudsman office to be established because when I was in care, both myself and a vast majority of my peers had endured some sort of abuse or violation of what was supposed to be our rights on some level. And I hate to report this, but very often the case was that these things were not addressed appropriately. And if the perpetrator of the abuse isn't forthcoming, which they usually are not, then these issues remain unaddressed and youth stay in these actively and legitimately dangerous situations because they are not being listened to.
And I don't know if you all are familiar with Micaiah Bryant. She is a young woman that died here. She was killed here in Columbus. And she had said, listen, I need help. This is what's going on in this home. I could have easily been in Micaiah Bryant's shoes. And that is what's hurtful for me, is that if she had that youth ombudsman, I wonder what impact that could have had. If there could have been an intervention and she could have been here. She could have been saved.
CDF Ohio is really to amplify the voices of the people with lived experience. And we wanted to make sure that the stories that they were telling, that were showing how the system was failing youth, were said in front of the people that needed to hear it to be able to make this important policy change.
Because we are so passionate about our advocacy work and particularly about the Youth Ombudsman's office, it helped other organizations such as Children's Defense Fund and other organizations around the state get on board and help rally with us.
So once we were able to partner with Children's Defense Fund, I feel like they were really able to bring in their skills and amplify our voices in a way that allowed legislators to understand us better, and that helped us to be more effective.
So it was not just a group of children who lived in foster care that have grievances. It became a movement in Ohio, a regional, a statewide movement of people with lived experiences and organizations who want to make child welfare a better system for children.
The things that were most important to me throughout the legislation was that we keep showing up over and over and over again to stick to two major points. And those two major points again were that the office has to be just for youth. Youth will come last if youth don't have their own office, or they won't be heard at all. And then the other one was that please create an ongoing conduit so that youth can continue to have a voice. And we got both of those two things.
Every single step of the way, youth with lived experience were consulted and asked, does this make sense? Does this align with your experience? Does this align with the reality of these types of situations? And I think that it is only for that reason that this campaign has been so successful, and that we need to keep the youth's voices in this. They are the only ones who can tell us how this can work and how to make it better.
When the legislation passed to create Ohio's first youth ombudsman, we all celebrated, and we just have so much hope. It's not perfect. There's things that we still hope for and we need to build on, but it has been a joy to get to know that this is going to happen in Ohio.
It's an amazing opportunity, and I feel that for those that are coming out of foster care into foster care behind me, if they have this, I'm so hopeful to what it could mean for their experience in foster care.
I just felt relieved as well. All of the hard work, the testimonies or testimonials, and just going to the State House, speaking with people on the phone, it was like all that has finally come to this place where it's like victory.
Just knowing that I had a part in it, that I helped to influence that, it really made me feel that I was able to take that experience that I had, that was, I had these traumatic memories, and I was able to take that memory and to kind of change what that meant to me.
I, on one hand, am glad. I'm also reserved, and I want to make sure that we maintain our eyes and be vigilant, and to make sure that we can continually improve not only the ombudsman, but our child welfare system in its entirety.
It just creates more advocacy, it creates more care, and it creates more change and a better, safer world for everybody when people are able to share these experiences. And it can be uncomfortable to talk about, and it can be uncomfortable to listen to, but shoving something under the rug does not make a problem go away. And I am just really happy that I'm able to sit here and say that there is a problem, and this is important, and we're working on it. And things are getting better and improvements are being made, and that just makes my heart happy.